Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Jonathan Cilia, joined by my co-host, Paula Kauki, and here are your headlines for today. Satirical Facebook page may face jail time after a complaint by Jorgen Fennick's lawyers. ADRIAN dismisses suggestion he posed as Dartal Providenza head. Maltese Teachers Union urges schools to reopen gradually to avoid outbreaks. Historic gender quota bill to be presented in Parliament in coming days, and President George Vella receives vaccine as COVID-19 strategy underway. So Paula, we've got quite a mix of headlines today. You want to take away the first one?
Nibdew bl-ewwel storja u għasna s-sanajt liktar waħda ambigwa għax id-dinja 2021 naħseb komplet titħawat iktar milli kienet is-sena l-oħra. Il-paġna satirika bis-serjetà, nimmaġina li kull min qed jerda l-programm jaf x'inhi bis-serjetà, jekk Karl stenni barra għadu qatt ma tilgħalek fuq in-newsfeed mela bis-serjetà hija paġna intelligenti tuża satira impoġġija ħafna drabi kif suppost u li nimmaġina li anka min ikun fiċ-ċentru tal-attakk jitbissem x'in jara ċerti post ma tbissmux ċertament l-avukati ta' Jorgen Fennick illi eskalaw post minnhom illi kienet tirriferi għalihom bħala avukati mafjużi tant illi telgħu il-complaint quddiem il-qorti biex jissalvagwardjaw isimhom. Issa bħala avukat nemmen illi le avukat m'għandux tittappalnu reputazzjoni, l-ħajja personali tiegħu whatever minħabba il-klijent li jażel jirrappreżenta. Qed jagħmel xogħlu meta pulizija jispara fuq il-post tax-xogħol ma jfissirx li huwa qattil. Imma dan il-każ nimmaġina wkoll li meta dawn l-avukati jażlu li jirrappreżentaw dan il-każ ultra sensittiv kellhom jistennew jew jippretendu illi huma wkoll ser isiru persuni pubbliċi u huma wkoll ser ikunu fil-mira ta' attakki satira f'dan il-każ u jkunu fuqhom min-nies. Ġifieri nifhem iż-żewġ naħat naħseb illi l-avukati they might have taken it too far f'dan il-każ imma wieħed ukoll jifhem li jridu jissalvagwardjaw l-interessi tagħhom.
No, exactly as you said, Paula. You know, if you're representing possibly the biggest murder suspect in recent years in Malta, a very, very popular and famous businessman, and someone that's been in the news for the last few months, you know, if it's actually been a year now, if not more. Are you surprised that there's memes, that people are writing about you, that people are commenting about you? But I mean, at the same time, I kind of understand Fennick's lawyers. I mean, constantly being referred to as mafia, as slimy, as corrupt, etc., must not be fun. However, you know, it's a satirical page, it's a meme page. If you've gone to the point that you're reporting memes to magistrates, very, very strange. But what's interesting is Biserta have now actually released a statement. They've actually responded to the claims.
Ma tantx donnom li dispjaċihom kalli jagħmlu jistana naraw fejn imorru minn hemm.
You know, in a very, very sarcastic statement, you know, they said, quote, you know, we know that the lawyers are just doing their highly paid, lucrative jobs, and we would humbly like to sincerely and allegedly apologize for any offense caused. Now, what's important to remember here is that the magistrate who has issued the decree, in this case, Magistrate Rachel Montebello, said that the reason she's doing so is because lawyers should be protected from attacks or insults, as well as to safeguard Jorgen Fennick's right to a fair hearing. But, you know, since the story broke, freedom of speech activists have taken to Facebook. I mean, my feed was full of people reacting yesterday, and a popular freedom of speech activist, Mark Camilleri, who's also the National Book Council chairman, said that if Biserta is fined, and the fine could be up to 2,329 euros, he would be paying it himself. So we'll definitely have to see how this story develops, or if they even end up in court. Moving on to the next story, another quite a strange story that keeps on developing. So obviously,
like 2021, mħawdek time in 2020.
What a strange start to the year. So obviously, recently, ADRIAN was representing a Tunisian company when he donated €500,000, 500,000 euros to Dartal Providenza, a massive donation. However, since the donation was given, you know, ADRIAN has been catching a lot of flack. You know, people were calling for the donation to be vetted, which it is being vetted. People wondering if it has anything to do with money laundering. And yesterday, Lovin Malta spoke to ADRIAN himself to kind of clarify the situation. So one of the most interesting things that had come out recently was that the chairman of the company, Catco Group, based in Tunisia, Fizal Abdullah Alokla, he had spoken to the Times of Malta and he said, listen, I wasn't really aware that ADRIAN was a politician. I did not know he was the former head of the opposition. I thought he was the head of Dartal Providenza. So we've asked ADRIAN, kind of what relationship did you have with the chairman? Was he aware of what happened? And he said, listen, this is, quote, a laughable allegation. Why would I pretend to be the head of Dartal Providenza, as if Dartal Providenza need my good name when they have a better name than anyone else? So obviously, Dalia's laughing a little bit about this, and I can understand why it is a bit of a laughable situation. So apparently, this guy did not know who Dalia is, which, a quick Google search of Dalia's name.
Għandu raġun Lavi, ma Adrian Dalia, nasib anki tamil initials tijaw, tant artikli kontra artikli ta' xinu, stejjer, u ma mendikx ċans li ta' 500,000 u ma ti Google jax, jew il-PA tijak ma Google jax li sem ta' minu, ġifiri lejjina for one, u naħseb hemm ħafna li jaqblu miegħi, ma nemminx illi dil-kumpanija ma kienieċ taf jew ma kellha l-ebda mod kif tkun taf minu Adrian Dalia.
Well, that's exactly what he's saying. It does seem like Adrian Dalia got into contact with the Catco group via the Slima Wanderers. So the president of Slima Wanderers, referred Dalia to the company, and Dalia said he only spoke to them via email. So no personal meetings were held between Dalia and Fizal Abdullah Al-Okla. So we'll definitely have to see kind of what the results are of the vetting of the money, but now at least he's kind of clarified what his relationship was. That money is going to go and do a lot of good for a lot of people in Malta.
Minn din l-istorja ħarġet xi ħaġa tajba. Kontroversja oħra li konna din nistennewa l-MUT għamet u qalet illi l-iskejjel m'għandhomx jinfetħu kollha f'Salt minħabba il-biża' tal-imxija tal-COVID. Storja illi kena niċċekkja d-data, fakritni eżatt dak li qalu l-MUT Settembru li għadda fejn wara sajf bit-tfal pools u baħar bdew jibbiżaw li l-iskejjel ser ikun il-kaġun tiktar każijiet ta' trasmissjoni tal-COVID-19. Issa wkoll rġajna fl-istess sitwazzjoni wara ġematej ta' parties, get together, Secret Santa, klitant innanna ntitsija, farmhouse għawdex. L-iskola hija il-post fejn it-tfal ser ikunu l-iktar periklu fl-MUT. Nifhem li kulħadd jieħu ħsieb, nifhem li kien hemm malliema li għadu attenti, nifhem li kien hemm ġenituri li għadu attenti, però naħseb li bħalissa Malta kollha da fl-istess hija fejn ħajkollok żgur kollega fuq il-post tax-xogħol li jagħmel Christmas jixxara daqs li kieku COVID ma jeżistix u allura qiegħed friskju. Nemmen li din id-darba opinjoni personali tiegħi l-MUT mhumiex ser jerbħu daqshekk media u attenzjoni popolarità daqs kemm għamlu f'Settembru li għadda għaliex issa s-sistemi fl-iskejjel huma tried and tested ħadmu u qed jistenna li kif ħadmu f'Settembru ser jaħdmu f'Jannar.
A lot of teachers have been, preparing for schools to reopen. A lot of parents have been looking forward to schools reopening. A lot of children themselves have been looking forward to schools reopening. So even under the story that we published on Lovin Malta yesterday, a lot of people were discussing it. You had parents who were still a bit concerned and said maybe we should slow down. You had a lot of parents saying, listen, it is time for us to just try to get back to normality as much as possible. But what's interesting is to know that this is not just happening in Malta. I mean, obviously, just this week, just on Monday, England went into another national lockdown. And yesterday we actually spoke to some Maltese students who had traveled to England, moved to England to start studying there just for one day of school to happen. And now schools have been closed down as part of the national lockdown, and the Maltese students are stuck in limbo. So this is not only happening in Malta, this is happening around the world. We'll definitely have to see how Malta's education system reacts to this and the MUT's urging. But yes, this is definitely not as heated as it was last September, that's for sure. Moving on to the next story, and this is quite a big thing that's about to happen next week, and you should definitely be paying attention to. So a bill to kickstart a gender quota in Parliament will be presented in Parliament next Monday by Parliamentary Secretary for Reforms, Rosiane Kutaya. So if you're not aware of what a gender quota is or what this bill will be doing, it is basically a bold set of proposals to bring more women into Parliament and have a much more equal Parliament. As in right now, if you go to Parliament, it's a bunch of old men, mainly. You've got some women there, you've got some younger men as well, but we definitely need to balance it out. However, people are unsure if this bill is the right way to go about it. So under this bill, both the two major parties, the Nationalist Party and the Labour Party, would be allowed to have 6 more seats in Parliament each. That's 12 seats in total, and these seats will be given to women in an attempt to balance out the gender ratio in Parliament. However, under the article that we published yesterday, a lot of people were were critical of this. Some women themselves said that this was a bit dehumanizing to them, and they were worried that women would become the token women, that a party would just get some 6, whoever they may be, the first 6 women to be on the register, get them into parliament, and they'll have the seats in, and they can say, look how good we're doing. We've got another 6 women in parliament. I don't know what you make of this, Paula.
Jiena fuq din ir-riforma kelli mixed feelings mill-bidu sal-aħħar jinbidlu li ħafna opinjoni tiegħi dwarha. Nemmen illi kien hemm bżonn illi ikun hemm żbilanċ sabiex iktar nisa jitlu fil-Parlament għaliex storikament u kulturalment l-irġiel għandhom iktar ċans li tilgħu fil-Parlament, mhux għax huma aktar kapaċi imma għax għandhom tendenza nivvotaw. L-irġiel fl-istess ħin nibża illi riforma bħal din jaf tratta lejn politika nisa illi taf int la hemmhekk toħodha jisek għandek xi ħaġa b'xejn ma supermarket taf li mhux ħadd tuża imma aħjar ħadd b'xejn lest hemmhekk. U nibża minn dak ukoll. Having said that, hemm l-argument ta' isma' il-poplu għandu jeleġġi min għandu jeleġġi u min ma jridx jivvutalu għandu jibqa' l-art. Dak l-argument naħseb li f'din leġislatura tfarrak għal kollox għaliex naħseb kważi kull min tefa' ismu għall-elezzjoni b'xi mod b'xi by-election jew oħra tela fil-Parlament. Then again il-pubbliku time and time again wera illi ma jafx jivvota għaliex kontinwament neleġġu għal darbtejn membri parlamentari illi għandi xorti jafu jiktbu isimhom ġifi ma nafx kif spiċċaw hemmhekk, jiġifieri min qed jipprova juża l-argumenti li jisma' dawn in-nisa mhumiex ħajkunu kapaċi daqs l-irġieli li hemm fil-Parlament bħalissa definitivament mhux il-każ. Wieħed biss jimmaġna nispera illi dal-eżerċizzju ser iservi biex il-5 snin li ġejjin ikunu learning curve anke għas-soċjetà biex il-5 snin l-elezzjoni ta' wara ma jkunx hemm bżonn dal-mekkaniżmu għaliex ikunu eletti n-nisa b'mod normali u bekk da jkun intuża darba u daqshekk.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, imma ma nipprovawx niddisrispettaw ukoll il-kapaċità tan-nisa għaliex nafu li ħafna nisa ma jikkontestawx għal raġunijiet oħra u żgur li mhux għax mhumiex kapaċi daqt il-counterparts tagħhom maskili. L-aħħar storja tal-lum nerġa' mmur għall-COVID il-bieraħ il-President ta' Malta George Vella ħaq il-vaċċin tal-COVID-19 u ħada bħala l-President ta' Malta persuna anzjana, vulnerabbli u tabib. Fil-fatt naħseb jista' jkun meqjus bħala l-ikbar influencer li jistgħu jkollhom l-ewwel cohort ta' persuni ser jitlaqmu għal COVID-19. Fil-fatt il-President ta' Malta uża l-spotlight sabiex jagħmel appell li daw kollha, speċjalment ovvjament anzjana li xhuma ħajtlaqmu issa, illi forsi jaraw xi aħbarijiet jew jaraw xi kummenti ta' nies li provaw ibeżżaw kontra dan il-vaċċin sabiex ma jagħmlux dan għaliex il-vaċċin tant huwa sigur li kien wieħed minn ta' quddiem li tlaqam biex ikun ta' eżempju għal ħaddieħor.
I loved seeing the live stream. I think it's a great idea to have, the President of Malta, George Vella, live streaming his vaccination. And as you said yourself, before the vaccination, he took the moment to kind of address the people of Malta, the nation, and say, listen, the time for fear-mongering, it's over. We shouldn't be listening to these kind of like crazy rumors and theories that you hear online or in the piazza or whatever. As soon as 5G or Bill Gates is mentioned, you should be leaving that conversation. And he took the vaccine, as you said yourself, he is a doctor himself, so he's perfectly placed actually to kind of talk about the importance of the vaccine. And what's interesting is that, over the last week, some quite notable people have been vaccinated. I mean, personally, I love the fact that a 104-year-old elderly man at the St. Vincent de Paul care home was also vaccinated. Chris Fern's wife was vaccinated. She's also a doctor, the health minister. So hundreds, if not over 1,000, maybe even thousands now, vaccinations have been rolled out in Malta. Now, there is some criticism that the vaccinations aren't being rolled out fast enough. Fair enough, but progress is happening. And it's just good to see, the leaders of the nation step forward to take the vaccination and use the time to kind of allay the fears of the Maltese people. On that positive note, I think we're going to end today's episode, both from myself and Paula. Have a day full of lovin'.
Ciao.